Okay, so my poet was Adrienne, and a little bit about her life. She was born on May 16, 1929, to her parents Helen and Arnold Rich. Her father had a Jewish background and had learned to fit the normal American life and raised both of his daughters to be Christians. The two girls were homeschooled by their mother until the 4th grade, when Rich started to go into Roland Park. This is where she said that she got her first good taste of how women could do perfectly fine on their own. But after all of her schooling, she went to a women's college in Harvard. And while she was in college, she published her first book of poetry, A Change of World. And after graduating, she married Alfred Conrad, an economics professor at Harvard. And during the span of their marriage, they had 3 sons, David, Paul, and Jacob. And later, after the boys were grown up, Rich started discovering that the restrictions of being in a marriage and being a mother were overwhelming, and she wrote a poem called Snapshots of a Daughter-in-Law. And the poem tells you about how she felt that women shouldn't have to be put through that, and that it was just crazy. And so, living the life of the typical Republican motherhood of being wife, mother, housekeeper, she decided to get a divorce. And shortly after she left her kids and her husband went off and offed himself. But pretty much Rich said that it was for the best and that she still loved him, and she was sad that it happened. But she was glad for the time to be able to discover herself. And after finding her feminist ways, she started writing a lot of poems about the restricting life of women and the obstacles they had to face to get to their successes. And in the late 70s, Rich outed herself and said that she was lesbian. And with that, she started writing a whole new genre of poems saying about love and love towards women and love towards men. And it's just really a really good experience for her, and it opened up a lot of experience for her to write about. But now she is still living and continues to write, but she is now sharing her love for literature and teaches at various colleges. But Adrienne has a certain style of poems, and they're pretty much standard throughout all of them. She always writes about a theme of either a personal experiences that she's had, or women's issues and rights, or about a current war. And she demonstrates these themes through free verse poems that have allusion, metaphors, and personification and symbolism to get the themes across. Most of her poems are relatively short, even though she does have a couple long ones, like A Shattered Head or The North American Time. Okay, so the poem I'm going to read is A Ghost of a Chance, and I chose this poem because I believe it relates to our English class. Every day we take our test, and how we always want to be quiet so we can concentrate, even though we always seem to get off on our own little tangents and always talking and distracting others.
Ghost of a Chance. You see a man trying to think. You want to say to everything, "Keep off! Give him room!" But you only watch, terrified. The old constellations will get him at last, like a fish, half dead from flopping, almost crawling across the shingle, almost breathing the raw, agonizing air, till a wave pulls it back, blind, into a triumphant sea.
So pretty much all this poem means is that when the onlooker sees the old man trying to think, they just freak out because they know how easily it is to get off on a tangent and to be distracted and lose that thought that you almost had, that was almost together and perfect, and then you just forget it. But this would be an example of how Rich uses symbolism, and she makes metaphors towards like actual events that people have to deal with every day, which she's probably dealt with, which is probably one of her personal experience poems. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed learning about Andrea, because I have, because she's pretty interesting knowing what a life she's gone through. But yeah, have fun!